What if the woman now known as the Duchess of Sussex was never the person we thought she was? What if behind the carefully curated Instagram grids, the glamorous royal wedding, and the polished podcast appearances, there was a hidden past, one so scandalous it could unravel the myth of Meghan Markle entirely? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Tonight, we pull back the velvet curtain. Because one woman has finally broken the silence. Her name? Jessica Mulroney, former best friend, stylist, maid of honor in all but title, and now, the accidental whistleblower behind one of the most damning pieces of footage ever linked to Meghan Markle. This isn't speculation. This isn't a rumor whispered in dim corridors of anonymous forums. This is video, captured, preserved, and recently leaked to the press. And it may show Meghan Markle involved with the Suits co-star, while still married to her then-husband, Trevor. Let that sink in. Are we about to see the carefully crafted image of a feminist icon, a Hollywood star turned royal changemaker, shattered in real time? Is this the moment Meghan's own past turns around to haunt her, on camera, no less? But before we press play on the footage itself, before we reveal who was in the room, what was said, and how the fallout ignited a media firestorm, let's rewind. Let's go back to a time when Meghan Markle was still just Rachel Zane. When Trevor was a quiet but devoted husband in the background. When Jessica Mulroney was more than just a friend, she was Meghan's inner circle, her vault, her secret keeper. Until one night, something happened. Something no one was supposed to see. And it all starts here, with the video Jessica Mulroney never meant for the world to see. Or did she? Let's dig in. Toronto, 2013. Meghan Markle is on the rise. She's landed a recurring role on Suits. She's rubbing shoulders with producers, photographers, and budding influencers. She's still married, technically. Trevor, her longtime partner, is back in LA, managing his own film projects. They're bi-coastal. It's not unusual, but something's changed. Meghan's no longer just the grateful actress wife. She's becoming something else. Bigger, sharper, curated. And then there's Jessica. Jessica Mulroney, born into privilege, married into even more. She's one part stylist, one part socialite, and 100% connected. Her ties to Canadian political royalty and elite fashion circles make her the perfect ally for Meghan. Their bond is instant, intense, and public. Instagram posts, dinner outings, selfies at high-end boutiques, it's all there. They look inseparable. And for a while they are. But here's the thing about friendships that move too fast. They burn just as quickly as they ignite. Now, back to that video. Sources close to Jessica say she always had her phone out, filming behind the scenes, capturing moments, as she called them. Meghan, always aware of the camera, played into it. Flirtatious smiles, coy glances, champagne clinks. But one night, after a Suits wrap party, Jessica filmed something that crossed a line. Something that's now in the hands of select journalists and tabloid editors. And in that footage, reportedly, is Meghan, with a co-star. And not just chatting, not rehearsing lines. Something more. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Why does this matter now? Because Jessica didn't leak the video back in 2018 when Meghan became the Duchess of Sussex. She didn't leak it during the Oprah interview, or the Spotify podcast, or the Netflix deal. She waited. She waited until the friendship was broken beyond repair. Until Meghan's team stopped returning her calls. Until her own reputation was called into question, and Meghan stayed silent. And then, in what some insiders are calling a calculated move, Jessica allegedly handed the footage over. Quietly, deliberately. One press outlet, then another. No grand statement. No interview. Just a short email. Subject line: press use only, confidential footage. And from that moment on, the world of Meghan Markle would never be the same. So what does the video show? We're going to get to that soon. But before we even reveal who the co-star is, yes, it's someone you know. We need to understand why this leak hit like a wrecking ball. Why the timing was so explosive. Why even the palace, as we'll explore later, reportedly called an emergency communications meeting. Because this wasn't just some grainy footage from a party. This was a betrayal. To her husband. To her best friend. To the woman she once called her ride or die. And as the world now watches Meghan's glossy empire wobble, many are asking, Was this always the real her? Let's go back to that marriage. Trevor Engelson, a name that, for years, stayed in the shadows of Meghan's fame. But before Harry, before the castle, before the coronation scandals and Oprah confessions, there was Trevor. He met Meghan before the fame. He saw her as she was, hungry, hopeful, and deeply ambitious. They married in 2011. A destination wedding in Jamaica. Wild, tropical, lavish. But within 2 years, cracks began to show. Meghan had moved to Toronto to film Suits, while Trevor remained in Los Angeles. Distance? Sure, but that wasn't the full story. Insiders from the Suits set now whisper of a shift in Meghan's demeanor around season 2. Less calls to Trevor. More private dinners with cast and crew. More time with one particular co-star. A man who, until recently, had never been linked romantically to her, publicly. But Jessica Mulroney may have changed that. Because in the leaked footage, Meghan is reportedly seen entering a room at a party. She's not alone. And moments later, Jessica's camera catches what looks like her and this co-star close. Too close. There are no kisses. No clear intimate acts. But there's body language. Tension. A whispered phrase, he'll never know. Was she talking about Trevor? And why did Jessica keep the footage? More importantly, why leak it now? We've spoken to 3 insiders close to the Mulroney family. 2 of them confirm the footage exists. One of them, under anonymity, claims Jessica tried to destroy it several times, but couldn't bring herself to delete it. She loved Meghan, the source said. She was torn. But in the end, Meghan burned the bridge first. Because let's not forget, Jessica was cancelled. A social media scandal involving race, privilege, and a public influencer fallout placed her in hot water. And when Jessica looked around for support, Meghan was nowhere to be found. No text, no call, no statement, just silence. And that, according to sources, was the final break. So this isn't just a scandal about infidelity. This is a story of trust turned to revenge, of ambition devouring friendship, and of a video filmed in a moment of vulnerability, now threatening to become Meghan Markle's worst nightmare. But here's the most chilling part. What if this was only the beginning? What if Jessica has more footage? What if this was just the first leak in a series? What if Trevor Engelson saw the video before the divorce and chose to stay silent for 10 years? Think about it. Wouldn't you want to know the truth? Wouldn't you want to see the tape that even the palace couldn't keep under wraps? Wouldn't you want to know who the Suits co-star really was? Because in the next chapter, we're taking you to that very night, to that very party, and to the moment that changed everything. For Meghan, for Jessica, and for the man who captured Meghan's attention long before Prince Harry ever did. The night it all changed is where we begin. And what came next? Well, let's just say no one saw it coming. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift, like something unspoken was taking place, just out of view? That was the energy on the set of Suits that night. The cast had just wrapped filming a major episode, Season 2, Episode 13. Everyone was buzzing. The production team was relaxed for once. The pressure of long shoot days temporarily lifted. Drinks were flowing, music was low but upbeat, and someone had even ordered late-night sushi to be delivered to the downtown Toronto penthouse, where the unofficial wrap party was happening. It was supposed to be a celebration. But what unfolded that night would leave a trail of whispers that never fully disappeared. And for one person in the room, Jessica Mulroney, it would become a memory she couldn't erase. Not just because of what she witnessed, but because she caught it all on camera. That's right. Jessica, in her usual fashion, had been filming candid party moments all evening. She liked to document the behind-the-scenes life of glam, friends, and rising fame. Her phone was out the entire night. Quick shots of the cast toasting champagne. Meghan laughing at a joke someone made. Patrick J. Adams doing a mock impression of a director. All harmless. Until it wasn't. Let's rewind just a bit. Meghan had walked in late that night. She had wrapped her last scene separately and arrived looking every bit the star. Hair in loose waves, a fitted black dress that clung to her like a second skin, heels that clicked with authority. Heads turned. But one pair of eyes didn't look away. It was him. The co-star. We're not naming him yet. Not yet. Not until you hear what happened. Because you need to feel the tension first. Jessica noticed it instantly. Meghan hadn't even made it 2 steps into the room before his hand was on the small of her back, guiding her toward the bar. Was it innocent? A friendly hello? Possibly. But then Jessica's camera zoomed in. Maybe unintentionally, maybe instinctively. Meghan whispered something to him. He leaned in too closely to hear. Their smiles didn't match the music. It was too intimate, too self-contained. And Jessica, holding her phone just slightly lowered at chest level, caught it all. The positioning. The glances. The way Meghan touched his wrist lightly. Only for a second, but long enough to notice. It was like watching a play no one else knew was happening. Now, here's the part that makes your skin crawl. Jessica, at one point during the night, set her phone down on a marble countertop, still recording. She'd been filming a toast. But instead of turning it off, she let it run. The phone caught an 8-minute segment with no one looking. Just ambient sounds, clinks of glasses, laughter, snippets of private conversations. And around minute 5, something happened. Meghan and the co-star disappeared from the main living room. They walked through a glass sliding door into a darker side area of the penthouse suite. Not quite a bedroom, more like a private lounge. Curtains drawn, dim lights. From her angle, Jessica's phone didn't have a clear view, but the audio was sharp. You hear the door close. You hear low murmuring. And then, this is what the press described from the footage. You hear Meghan say something that made journalists sit back in their chairs when they played it back. He'll never know. Just 3 words. But they landed like a bomb. Who was she talking about? Trevor? Jessica? The public? It's open to interpretation, but timing doesn't lie. At this moment, Meghan was still married. Still very much tied, legally and emotionally, to Trevor Engelson. A man who, by all accounts, had no idea what his wife was up to in Toronto. And this wasn't acting. This wasn't a scene from Suits. This was real life. Now here's where things get more tangled. Jessica didn't watch the footage right away. She didn't even remember she'd left her camera running until days later, while editing a quick Instagram reel from the night. And when she saw what had been captured, the tension in Meghan's body language, the low voice, the whisper. Jessica reportedly paused for a few seconds. Then, according to one insider, she moved the file into a locked folder on her laptop and never spoke of it again. At least, not publicly. So why didn't she delete it? Why not just erase it then and there? That's where things get tricky. You see, the bond between Meghan and Jessica wasn't ordinary. It was obsessive. They weren't just best friends. They were reflections of each other's ambitions. Meghan wanted access to high society. Jessica wanted the global visibility that came with being tied to rising royalty. They played off each other, strengthened each other's image. So maybe Jessica thought the footage was leverage. Or maybe, just maybe, she thought Meghan owed her something for keeping it quiet. But nothing stays hidden forever. And the events of that night would fester beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to explode. Here's another detail that didn't come out until recently. One of the makeup artists who worked on Suits later told an anonymous podcast that something changed between Meghan and the unnamed co-star after that night. They were always flirty before, she said. But after that night, they were different, closer, and Meghan was more careful. Like she didn't want to be seen standing too close anymore. Why would she suddenly become cautious? Was she scared someone knew? Did Jessica confront her? Did Trevor suspect something? Those questions still hang in the air. But the truth is, Meghan's marriage to Trevor began unraveling soon after. Within 8 months of that party, Meghan filed for divorce. The reason? Irreconcilable differences. Isn't that always the way? But what's rarely discussed is that Trevor was reportedly blindsided. He didn't fight it, but sources say he was confused and deeply hurt. Could it be that he had seen the footage? Could someone, Jessica, maybe have warned him? Or did he simply piece together the truth on his own, reading between the lines, watching Meghan's star rise while his role in her life shrank into nothing? Either way, the damage had been done. But back to the night of the party. As the hours passed, Meghan and the co-star eventually returned to the main room. They acted casual. Too casual. No one said a word. No one dared ask. But Jessica watched them closely, too closely. She told a friend later, "That was the moment I knew something wasn't right." It stuck with her. That moment, that footage, that feeling. And now, years later, as the video quietly circulates among a handful of journalists, the truth is bubbling to the surface. Because secrets like this don't stay buried. They wait. They whisper. And then, when the timing is just right, they detonate. Which begs the question, why did Jessica keep it all this time? Why leak it now? Why not bury the truth forever and let the past fade with the years? Was it revenge, redemption, or something deeper, something personal? We'll explore that in the next chapter.